Welcome back. In a wildfire situation, if you hear the words "get out now," there is no doubt it is time to go. But not everyone gets that warning. So tonight I set out to learn why.
What are the conditions of the fire and how is it going to progress?
Firefighters have a lot of questions to answer when it comes to responding to wildfire, and usually not a lot of time to get those answers.
We don't take lightly evacuating people.
And in the face of historic drought across the West, evacuations are no longer just for people who live in the rural woodland areas.
Well, I think anywhere in Spokane County pretty much is a wildfire-prone area. Whether it's a little more on the prairie and the Palouse or within the trees, there's always that potential where we're going to ask folks to evacuate.
The process of deciding who to evacuate is not a quick one. Firefighters first have to determine the fire's behavior, then work with law enforcement to figure out which areas are most at risk. Then they have to create a detailed map of the exact evacuation area. Then law enforcement makes the final call and it goes out to dispatch.
It can be lengthy, and especially with a fast, rapidly moving fire. Sometimes it takes us 10, 15, 20 minutes to know where this fire is at.
That's why authorities say it is so important for you to take the 5 minutes and sign up for those emergency alerts on your phone. Because if you don't, there is a chance that you won't know when danger starts getting closer. Now, in Washington and North Idaho, for example, there are basically two kinds of alerts. We start with code red, which is like a reverse 911. That one goes out to all landlines in an area, plus anyone who has signed up. But those haven't been quite as reliable. So there is also now the WEA, the Wireless Emergency Alert, and that goes out to every cell phone in any specific area, whether you signed up or not. How do you reach people who are off the grid or are in these small, remote areas that are not as easily accessible?
That's actually a very good question. That is one of the reasons we've started doing the wireless emergency alerts automatically. But now that so few people have landlines, we decided we really need to be able to reach people more effectively.
That technology is relatively new. It's only been used here locally for about the last 2 years. But even that is not foolproof.
What if it's, say, the middle of the night? People aren't looking at their phones and they aren't hearing the alert.
Yeah, if their cell phone was off, for example, or they're not paying attention to that, then it is going to be door to door.
But obviously it does have limitations. Who do you worry about the most?
I worry about those that we do not have the social media or do not have cell phones or vulnerable population for folks who aren't getting the messages quickly, who are not able to evacuate at a moment's notice.
So just last year, we heard from a lot of people in Malden and Pine City who said that there was no warning, there wasn't even time for a warning, that it just happened so quickly. What are the shortcomings, I guess, of the current system and how could it be improved?
It is a challenge when you have a fast moving fire. That's going to happen. That happened in Paradise, California. It was extremely fast moving and a tower was burned down. So people didn't get alerts because the tower had burned. There are always going to be situations that aren't perfect.
And that's where authorities agree everyone has to do their part. Sign up for the alerts, pay attention to what's going on around you, and don't wait for the notification if wildfire is getting close.
It's not a good idea just to rely on someone coming to knock on your door and tell you to go, because that may or may not happen.
Absolutely not. Do not rely on that. There are a variety of ways to do it. We anticipate and ask you to use every one of those.
So I also learned there are 4 major emergency alert systems that are basically used nationwide, and I'm told they all operate essentially the same way with the same basic process for sending out those evacuation orders. And while they are all top of the line, officials say the limitations are the same. So for details on how to sign up here in the Spokane area to make sure that you are getting those alerts, just go to krem.com. All right.